Hey guys, time for another Gifted Apprentice update. So mostly I've been spending the last few weeks working on UI stuff, bringing all of Gifted Apprentice's parts together to something resembling a coherent whole, though there's still a lot of stuff to do, but I thought I'd show you how things are looking so far. So the first major thing you'll notice is this new timeline UI element at the bottom. You'll see that as I create and select objects on the screen, corresponding elements get created in the timeline. Right now they're automatically named some arbitrary numbers, but a more sensible naming scheme will be coming soon. More importantly, so will UI elements to let you rename them. You'll also note the selection works bidirectionally. Anything that I select on the timeline down here gets selected on the screen, and vice versa. Another useful thing is that the timeline hierarchy automatically scrolls down to the currently selected element, so you don't have to go searching through the timeline if you want to look at the keys for what you're playing with on screen. Right now you see me rotating these bones using the rotation handles. These used to be kind of sporadic and annoying to use before because event management was wonky and didn't really have a scheme set up. But now I've settled on a really nice event management scheme which allows me a lot of flexibility making sure things don't tend to get selected or deselected if the user don't want them to. The orange bar you see on the timeline scrubber represents the current point in time, and you can of course move it to wherever you'd like. For now you can set keyframes on a selected object by hitting K. You'll see a green dot appear on its row on the scrubber to signify that a keyframe exists there. If I move forward a bit, I can place another keyframe at the 1 second mark, and I can seek anywhere between two keyframes and the animation interpolates accordingly. Basically, if you used an animation program before, the timeline is pretty much what you'd expect. There are a few convenience features thrown in though. For example, if a node on the timeline is collapsed, but one of its descendant nodes is keyframes, you'll see those signified by a red dot on the collapsed node's row. If both a collapsed node and a descendant node have a keyframe at that point in time, you'll see a green dot representing the collapsed node's keyframe, and a red dot right below it representing one or more of its children. One other neat thing is the scroll bar at the bottom of the timeline also doubles as a zoom selector. If you drag either end of the scroll bar, you can zoom in and out of the timeline proportionally by the corresponding amount. Also probably worth mentioning is that keyframes are saved with subframe millisecond precision, meaning you can change the frame rate mid-project and the timing of everything will still be right. You can also pin bones in space to have the IK solver run on them. If you click on a pin, you'll be presented with this handle. Pins are keyframeable too, which should help with having characters walk or grab stuff. Though I'm still figuring out what the best UI scheme is for maintaining consistency in IK interpolations. For now I'm just automatically adding a keyframe to all the bones the pin affects when the pin is keyframed. You can also pin multiple bones. Gifted Apprentice will automatically figure out how to build an IK chain from the pins you've set up, so you don't need to go mucking about with that, and it works even for pretty complex pin arrangements. I've released the source code for the IK system, so you can check out the Everything Will Be IK video on my channel if you want to see it do some more complex stuff. Anyway, it's pretty user-friendly as far as IK systems go. Moving away from the timeline, I've also plugged the Smart Shape and Lenticular image systems into the new Event Manager and UI. I still need to implement onion skinning for lenticular images, so what I'm about to draw is going to be kind of all over the place, but that's not important for showing UI stuff. So anyway, if I'm in art mode and I have nothing selected, you'll see on the left-hand pane I'm presented with an option to either create a new Smart Shape or a new lenticular reference. I'm going to create a new lenticular reference and attach to this bone. Once I do, the left-hand pane changes to give me all the tools relevant to working with lenticular images. So I'll just select the paintbrush here and start drawing a cube. I don't have my tablet plugged in, so apologies for the messy line work. Okay, and I'll add a new view to the lenticular image and start drawing the cube from a different angle. I haven't plugged onion skinning in yet, so hopefully it's in the right place. By the way, if you're not sure what's going on right now, you can think of lenticular images as basic sprites or billboards, except they're very primitively plugged into the AI, so they can look different from different angles. Basically, this is useful for creating references to trace your more sophisticated vector graphics over, or to create dynamic backgrounds and props, or if you're so inclined, even create characters completely out of raster images. Anyway, you can see the lenticular image fades between views through a basic fading interpolation. If I go into the properties section, I can change the snappiness of that interpolation. If I bring it way down, it interpolates more gradually between views, and if I bring it way up, it interpolates almost immediately. There's also a transform section, so I can rotate or translate the lenticular, and these are keyframeable. Anyway, back into the properties section, I can lock the X or Y axes. Lenticular images only face the camera about one or no axes. Vector graphics are much more closely coupled with the AI, so you'll see if I create a vector shape, it doesn't just interpolate its appearance from different views, it also extrapolates to minimize how much manipulation the artist has to do. I've gone over that in other videos, so I'll gloss over it here and just play with the colors a bit. The last thing to show is actually a feature that's been implemented since forever, but I never showed off. So, most 2D animation programs have a concept of layers to allow for overlapping art assets, but Gifted Apprentice does most of its work in 3D, so these aren't really a good fit. Still, shapes tend to overlap one another all the time, and hunting down layers is always annoying in any program. Thankfully, Gifted Apprentice doesn't make you do that, though if you really want to, you can through the timeline. Anyway, Gifted Apprentice's approach to manipulating overlapping objects is basically this. Whenever the user's mouse is over multiple shapes, Gifted Apprentice resolves the ambiguity by automatically presuming the user is trying to click the shape that would be most annoying for the user to get to, and giving the user a hint that this is the shape they're about to select. If they don't want to select that shape, they can either hover their mouse over a different region of the shape that they are trying to select, or simply hold down the mouse button and scroll until the shape they want is highlighted. Then, simply release the mouse button to select it. I know that selection scheme sounds like it's easy and intuitive, but it's really quick and easy and doesn't require any layer hunting, and I'm pretty sure you're going to like how little you have to think about it. Okay, so that's it for this update. In terms of getting things out for an alpha, there's very little left to do. I just need to set up the undo and redo system and then the save and load system. However, I'm really kind of not happy with where things stand on the vector drawing system I've settled on. I might release it to alpha testers as is and let them tell me it's bad before I try to do something else, but it's really, I don't know, it doesn't feel good to use, so I might take like a week or two to try to figure out a nicer system. What I'd like is for it to feel more like working with lines, and then just using a paint bucket fill thing, and I don't know, I haven't thought it through yet, but I feel like I can plug something like that into the AI. It'll just take a bit of thought. Anyway, I might be getting ahead of myself and I should probably just release it to testers. So, yeah, okay. Thanks for watching. See ya.